And that is why the philosophy emerging from that knowledge, which is continuous, which has no beginning, which has no end, is called Sanatan. Continuous. Sanatan means regular, continuous. It will never disappear. It is a fact which will always remain. Vedanta are also called Upanishad. Upanishad means sit near, below. That means one has to sit near the Guru but below him. Why below? Because the natural flow is from top to bottom. It is never reverse. So the knowledge, the flow of the knowledge from Guru to the Shishya has to come from top to bottom. That is why sit below. Now these Upanishads were around 200 and more Upanishads as per the pre-ancient history. But unfortunately, as on today, we are left with only 11 Upanishads. Rest are lost. Those 11 Upanishads are beginning with Ishavasya Upanishad, Ken Upanishad, Kathopanishad, Prashnopanishad, Aitareya Upanishad, Taitareya Upanishad, Manduk Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Brihad Aranyak Upanishad, and ending with Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Now, as our law books are concerned, if you see the law books of British era, which we continue to invoke, like IPC, Contract Act, Indian Evidence Act, you would find there was a unique draftsmanship in those acts, and that is why those law books are still continuing, whereas the drafts which we have brought in have a very short shelf life. They were deleted, obsoleted like Tada, Pota, because those law books did not have the philosophy behind it. The draftsmanship of these acts, Indian Evidence Act, Contract Act, IPC, you will find that there is a classification. The substantive laws provision, which is known as section. Then there is exceptions to that main rule, which can be called exceptions or provisos. Then there is explanation to that section, because the need must be felt that this provision may not be understood as it is, so there is an explanation attached to it. But the uniqueness of the feature of those draftsmanship is, in these acts, if you go and find out, you will find that beyond this, there is another feature called illustrations, which you will not find in the post-independent statutes. Why those illustrations? The illustrations have been put to make you understand the objective of that provision, that under which situation this provision will apply. And illustrations may be multiple, that if this is the situation, if this is the situation, if this is the, this section will be applicable. And the moment you read those illustrations, the provision, howsoever complex it may be, it directly injects into your head. There's another feature called Puran, beyond Vedanta Upanishad. What is Puran? Today there are almost 18 Puran we have, beginning with Agni Puran, Bhagavat Puran, which is very common. You would listen Bhagavat Puran happening very regularly in different parts of India. But Bhagavat Puran is one of the 18 Purans. Then there is Bhavishya Puran, Brahma Puran, Brahmanda Puran. Then there is another very commonly used Puran which is now getting obsolete, which used to happen after the death of the person. Garuda Puran, Kurma Puran, Linga Puran, Matsya Puran, Narada Puran, Skanda Puran, Shiva Puran, Padma Puran, Vamana Puran, Varaha Puran, Vaivarcha Puran, and ending with Vishnu Puran. There's a very unfortunate part that people who listen to these Bhagavat Puran, Garuda Puran, or some of the people who are a little more enlightened, they read other Puran. Unfortunate part is that they get so carried away with bhakti, with these Puran. And there is nothing, no harm in having bhakti. But when that bhakti is misused by certain sections, that is something which is unfortunate and it pains. Because these Puran, let me tell you very clearly today, are simply illustrations to make you understand the provision of Ved. Now, let us imagine a situation that you are arguing a matter before the judge. And to make the judge understand your point of law, you suddenly start giving him example. Something similar to the facts of your case. To make him understand the provision. Will you not be shocked if the judgment comes on that example which you gave? You would be shocked that, this was just an example I gave. This was not the facts of my case. This was not the law I was quoting. I was simply giving an example. And if the judge gets engrossed with the example and start giving judgment on the example, it will be ironical. I, with full responsibility, want to tell you that Purans are those illustrations which are imaginary. So, it's simply that the provisions of Ved are so complex that the need was felt by those rishis, munis, those enlightened souls. They understood this fact that this provision may not be understood by the general public at large. So what they did, in their wisdom, to make the provisions understand, they created certain stories surrounding those provisions. Because through a story, you understand it so quickly. And that is why these Purans are those imaginary stories, because we all know that animals do not speak. Never did they. We all know that stones do not speak. We all know that the trees do not speak. They don't emote. There is no emotion. They don't weep. They don't laugh. But Purans are full of all this. So sometimes those who put a critical eye on Hinduism, they scoff. They make a mockery. Arey, what is this? Does it happen ever? But unfortunately, those who mock are those who do not know. Mocking is also a sign of ignorance.